Hello everyone, welcome to Diagnoser. Today we have this new case in front of us, and this is a 50-year-old male who presented with this facial weakness, as you can see in front of you. This sagging of face here, and this asymmetrical smile, and the presence of blisters in the external aortic canal and the tympanic membrane also. As you can see, this presence of these blisters here. These So we are given this, and we are to make a differential diagnosis or kind of a diagnosis for this case. And with this facial weakness and the presence of blisters in the external aortic canal, we can make a diagnosis, and it is a kind of clinical diagnosis. This is Ramsay-Hunt syndrome. Now let's discuss about this Ramsay-Hunt syndrome, and we'll discuss about it in these following headings. Like first is, what is this Ramsay-Hunt syndrome? Next is how it occurs, why it affects some person and why not others. And next is how the patient present. Next is, we'll discuss how to diagnose this case, and in last we'll discuss some about the treatment of this disease. So firstly, let's start with our what. Well, it is also known as geniculate zoster, or sometimes herpes zoster oticus, and this is basically a complication of a varicella zoster virus infection. And as you know, this varicella zoster virus, what happens is, during the primary infectious stage, what this virus causes is chickenpox. And this chickenpox presents with the presence of fever, with rash, with the kind of vesicles all over the body. And this disease is usually self-limiting, and after some time it resolves. But in some cases, what happens is, this virus resides inside the body in various ganglions, and the more common presentation is the manifestation as shingles, in which what happens is, this virus that is residing in the spinal cord, in the dorsal root ganglion, this virus reactivates itself and manifests as the presence of vesicles along a single dermatome. And these vesicles are kind of itchy and causes a lot of pain to the patient, and this disease is called as shingles. But in the case of Ramsay-Hunt syndrome, what happens is, this virus resides inside the geniculate ganglion, that is present at the as you can see here, when the facial nerve comes in the middle ear, through the inner ear. When the facial nerve comes in the middle ear at its first genu, this geniculate ganglion is present. When the facial nerve takes its first turn in the middle ear, then the geniculate ganglion is present, and this is basically a ganglion of facial nerve. And when this virus activates itself inside this ganglion, then this causes the manifestation of this Ramsay-Hunt syndrome by affecting the facial nerve mainly. It can affect both immunocompromised as well as immunocompetent individuals. But yeah, the severity is more in immunocompromised patients. Now, till now we have discussed what is this Ramsay-Hunt syndrome and how this disease occurs in some patients. Now let's start how the symptoms start appearing and how the patient present to us. So the first symptom by which the patient present to us is the presence of pain. And pain is characteristically distributed along the distribution of the facial nerve, and it is usually present over the ear and over the ipsilateral side of the face, where the facial nerve supplies. And in turns, after the pain is present, but with the pain, then next to develop is the paralysis and facial paralysis. And this paralysis is kind of that lower motor kind of paralysis that we see in a case of Bell's palsy. Next is, with the presence of facial paralysis, after 2 to 3 days, these vesicles develop. And after the 6 to 7 or sometimes 10 days, these vesicles get encrusted, and within 2 to 3 weeks, these vesicles get healed. And this is the characteristical triad of this Ramsay-Hunt syndrome, in which the patient present with pain, facial paralysis, and these vesicles over the external aortic canal, over the ear, and sometime over the distribution of the facial nerve in the face also. And in atypical cases, these vesicles can also present over the tongue and also over the hard palate also. And other features, like the features of facial paralysis, like loss of taste sensation over the anterior 2/3 of the tongue, and the loss of supply to the stapedius muscle causes hyperacusis. Next one is loss of supply to digastric muscles, and these are also the manifestation due to the facial nerve paralysis. The other manifestations are like when this virus affects the eighth cranial nerve, like vestibulocochlear nerve. Then with that, the patient can also develop hearing loss, vertigo, and tinnitus also. These are uncommon manifestations, as the case usually presents with these manifestations. But yeah, when the virus affects this eighth cranial nerve, these manifestations can also occur. There is a sign here, there is a characteristic name sign called as Hutchinson sign. Like if this virus, if the vesicles due to this virus are present over the nose of the patient, this states that basically that lesions are also present in the eye, in the ocular region also. And this is quite characteristic sign that if a vesicle is present over the nose, then the lesion is present in the eye also. And this is because of the same nerve supply, because this area is supplied by the nasal branch of nasociliary nerve, and this nerve and the branch of this nerve also supply this ocular region also. And this states that the lesions can also be present in the eye also, and this is quite a severe manifestation of this, complication of this basically. Now we have discussed is the presentation of the case. Now let's discuss how we diagnose this case. This is basically a clinical diagnosis, and with this characteristic triad we can make a diagnosis. But if we want to do some examination, some investigations, then we can do that. From the vesicles we can take the fluid and we can make the Zenk smears, and the Zenk smear shows the characteristic giant cells, and those giant cells are quite specific for this Ramsay-Hunt syndrome of this varicella virus, but not quite sensitive for that. We can also do this PCR analysis of tear, saliva, and fluid from the vesicles, and these are also used for making the diagnosis. But yeah, the clinical presentation is enough to make the diagnosis. If we want to do any radiological investigation, then CT scan do not give any kind of result, but MRI may show presence of inflammation around this geniculate ganglion sometimes. And then last, we'll discuss something about the treatment of this disease. Basically, what happens is, what we need to do in the treatment part, we basically have to decrease the course of the disease, and we have to decrease the complications that may occur in the future part of the disease. Like the complication may include the presence of post-herpetic neuralgia over this face. There can be complete paralysis. The facial paralysis may not be reversible. There can be sequelae related to facial paralysis, like some partial facial paralysis may remain even after the resolution of these symptoms, all other symptoms. There can be otalgia present even after the resolution of all other symptoms. And sometimes after the involvement of ocular nerve, the corneal lesions may also develop, and sometimes due to facial paralysis, the corneal abrasion may also be present, and due to the involvement of eighth nerve, sometime the hearing loss and tinnitus may also remain. And if this virus involves other cranial nerves and even other spinal nerves and spinothalamic tracts also sometimes, then this may cause hemiparesis of the body also. So, and this is common in the immunocompromised patients, but not in immunocompetent patients. So we have to decrease the course and decrease the complications also. And to decrease the course, we basically don't get that good kind of results, but yeah, we can decrease the complications in future also. This disease, yeah, we can decrease the course a bit, but this disease takes its own time to heal. But with the treatment, in treatment, what we use is we use antiviral drugs with steroids. And in antiviral drugs we can use acyclovir, valacyclovir, and yeah, we can decrease the course to a bit and decrease the complication to a significant amount if this treatment is started within 72 hours. The prognosis of this disease is kind of 70 to 80% resolution occurs if the treatment is started within 72 hours. But after 72 hours, if the treatment is started, then the prognosis is basically decrease, and some kind of facial paralysis persists even after the complete treatment. So this is all about Ramsay-Hunt syndrome, and if you want to know anything more about it, or you have any question regarding this disease, you can post it in comment section, or you can DM me on my Instagram handle at diagnoseIt. So thank you, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel.